everybody? Welcome back to Major Gaming, and today I'm going to be talking about how Scott Jund is wrong. Again. Because he is, about this one particular video. He recently, today, dropped this video called Dead by Daylight is Designed to be Miserable. And for most of the video, I was watching it, and I agreed with him, actually. Most of it. Until he got to his solution on how to fix the game. His journey to getting to his solution, I agree with. Pretty much the TLDR, the video, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, is just the fact that between map disparity, build disparity, and matchmaking, Dead by Daylight has a problem where you don't know what you're getting into in the next match, and you can't prepare for it, essentially. And it makes you... And the feeling of getting screwed over when you're trying to win, and you get screwed over by either the map, the build that the survivors were running, or the matchmaking, is really bad, and is essentially what's causing the most problem with the game. I 100% agree with this. 100%. He nailed it. Those three problems are the problems, and that is what makes Dead by Daylight so frustrating. And he brought up how, in an interview with Matthew Cote, which I've seen this clip that he's talking about, he is 100% real about this clip, where Matthew Cote said that they like to make the maps... They like to have them be certain-sided to give you like an underdog feeling when you win. But then after you win, when you win, the other side is not being taken into account, where they just got fucked on for no reason. Like, it's literally out of their control because you gave the underdog feeling to the winner. A game that they should have won, they didn't win, because the game told them no, essentially, which is really bad. Now, Scott, like I said, is 100% right about that. But then he gets into his solution. Solution, not a solution. It's not going to work. I guarantee you it would not work. Guaranteed. And I'm going to explain why it didn't work. It won't work. Okay? Now, his solution is to essentially just admit, hey, we can't fix all the disparities, so just make it so that killers, perks, add-ons, and items are changed depending on the RNG that you get, or whatever. Like, if you load into a map as Pig, the map's gonna have less pallets than if you load into a map as fucking Nurse, or whatever. Now, there's a lot of reasons why that's wrong, and that's not gonna work. For one, now, mind you, this is something that Otz has said directly to Scott, because Scott, he created a podcast episode, and I watched this podcast episode, and he was talking to Scott and Tofu, or to Otz and Tofu, and Otz explained to him why making balanced decisions around the different strengths of the killer will eventually lead to an unmanageable bloat that the dev team cannot handle. Because then they have to account for everything. They have to account for, like there's no end to, what can be changed. So it just turns into this massive just having to keep track of everything. Now, say they take Pig, right? Now, Pig is considered weak. But Pig has a high kill rate. What is behavior going to decide? Think about this situation. They see Pig. Pig has a 60% kill rate, which is high. But then they see the community saying Pig is weak. One of the weakest killers in the game. Which one are they going to go with? Do you think? Do you think they're going to listen to the community? Or do you think that they're going to listen to the numbers, the official numbers that they have. Now, say they do listen to the numbers, and they make it so that Pig has to deal with more pallets. Like, that would be horrible. That would literally cause a huge uproar, right? Now, say they listen to the community and they do what they're supposed to do, right? That's fine. But now the survivors know, oh, hey, this character was given a advantage because that Joe Schmo on YouTube said they were weak. You have casual survivors looking at it like, well, what the hell? Why does this killer get less pallets when I'm struggling against Pig? We're struggling against Pig, hence the high kill rate. Why is they getting less pallets? Because Joe Schmo on YouTube made a tier list and put her in C tier. Like, realistically, behavior can't win, no matter which one they do. They can't. If they go by kill rate, then the community's gonna complain. If they go by how people, like, that's the thing. Who are they listening to in the community on this? Like, that's the thing. Like, are you the arbiter of killer philosophy? Like, are you the fucking dude that's gonna be sitting there telling behavior? They don't even listen to their consultants. Like, when you talk, like, genuinely, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, he goes over, right, in here, so the endless cycle, right? He says,
so much people.
Fucking ad. Fuck you. Fuck you, ad. I gotta find exactly where he said it.
All at once because everyone's right, everyone's wrong, everyone's frustrated, everyone's having a good time.
Oh, actually, perfect. Right here.
Okay, fine. That was ridiculous. Let's tone it back a bit. And you go back to playing casually again. And then the cycle just repeats forever. So you can see here how the disparity in the match that you actually get and the difficulty in how much you have to try, a lot of the things being outside of your control, results in so much people being upset all at once because everyone's right, everyone's wrong, everyone's frustrated, everyone's having a good time, all at the same time. It's pure chaos.
Now, Scott described that, right? Now, imagine literally the same argument I just said. We can't even decide whether Blight is stronger than Nurse, right? And then, all right, so take Nurse into account, right? They go to balance specifically for Nurse. They add more pallets to a map for Nurse, who can work around the pallets. Like, she can just blink over them. Now, I know Nurse is like a different beast altogether, but you see where I'm coming from. Like, not every strong killer can be made weaker by just adding more pallets. That's not. And then you have to take the add-ons into account. Okay? So you have to, like, all right, so Legion, right, is a weak killer. So you give him less pallets, but then he brings the iridescent add-on. You bring that iridescent add-on that breaks pallets every time he vaults them. He has less pallets. He's breaking pallets while in his feral frenzy. And now all of a sudden he's fucking S tier, right? Because he has less pallets. So then behavior looks at that. Oh, Legion's doing really well with this iridescent add-on. Iridescent add-on gets nerfed. Or Legion gets nerfed. Because, you know what I'm saying? Like, the amount of things that they would have to take into account with this is astronomical. Now, also, in this video, Scott said that making sweeping adjustments to the game will not help. What do you think they're gonna have to do if they implement something like that? With all of their back catalog, all of the 200 plus perks, all of the add-ons, all of the killers, all of the survivors perks. Like I'm talking 200 plus just on the killer side, and then take survivor side into it. And then you have to take into account the disparity between Swift and solo queue, and then account for that. Do you really think behavior is going to be able to do that? Realistically, Scott. Realistically, do you think that they will be able to handle that? No, not at all. You want to know why? Because they can't even figure out how to nerf and buff things now. They can't. Like, we've had fucking, like, perks like Ultimate Weapon, right? Ultimate Weapon was strong on some killers, weak on others. So they reworked it, made it weak, and then recently rebuffed it, made it strong, right? They are so indecisive on like how the fuck to do things, and they don't account for everything. Be like, oh, MFT is strong with this perk, but on its own it's not that strong, or MFT is strong against this killer because this killer applies deep wound, but with these other killers that don't apply deep wound, it's not as strong. So how do you account for MFT? Do you automatically assume that the killer they're going against doesn't apply deep wound? Do you assume that they do? And then the killers that don't apply deep wound are just, making MFT more useless? How do you what's the disparity there? How do you decide that? Do you think behavior can handle deciding that? Do you honestly think... Look at what they did to Chucky. Like, he had an S tier, C tier, B tier. Like, the changes they make are insane. And it's not gonna fucking work. It just won't. And what I was gonna get back to, right? They have such a big back catalog of everything. You know what they're gonna have to do in order to make this work? They're gonna have to do a huge patch. Huge PTB, sweeping changes on everything they've ever done. And you just said sweeping changes aren't the answer. You said it in this video. I'll see if I can find it. But, like, let's see. Maybe I can find it. Oh my god, these fucking ads. Never mind. You said it in the video. So you said in the video sweeping changes to maps, fixing tunneling and slugging and stuff like that, and fucking sweeping changes to MMR won't help. But you want them to do possibly the biggest sweeping change they could possibly do to all of their back catalog. At that point, it's do or die. Like, if they do that. If they do it and it fails, and they can't bring it to live after putting in all of that work that would have to go into doing that, that would be destructive, honestly. Like, and then say they do bring it to live, but it's in a state where it sucks, the game dies. I promise you. At that point, like, the game is already hitting a point where it's... Right now, this is not the move, Scott. It's not. It's not. Think common sense wise, please, because you're taking it and you're making it way too analytical and removing the human part of this won't work because we're dealing with people. It's like that. That's the problem. You're looking at it way too analytical, way too like fucking robot brained. You're not realizing we're dealing with humans. Okay, you have to realize this. We're dealing with people that are working on this game. People are not perfect and they're going to fuck this up. They would. I guarantee you they would. It's behavior. Do you really think they wouldn't? Do you really think that they wouldn't fuck this up? In your heart of hearts. Like, seriously. And I know, we're not supposed to expect them to fuck up. But the problem is they are human. They are humans working on this game. So to expect them to get it perfect would be lying to yourself. That would be pure stupidity, honestly. And like I made a... Hold on, let me scroll down a little because I want to see the comment that I left. I left a comment. Oh god, see, the problem is they're adding so many comments. I gotta find... Alright, whatever. Again, going back to what I was saying. So, yes. This would probably be the biggest sweeping change you would ever have to make. When, in all reality, they 100% can fix the map disparity. They 100% can fix the slugging and tunneling problems with base kit features. which would then fix the build disparity problem. They 100% can fix the MMR problem. They can. And now, alright, even if they make these sweeping changes to the characters, it still doesn't fix the MMR. They still gotta do that anyway. Then, say, like, you take a perk like Decisive Strike, right? And they have to weight this perk. And they have to say, alright, Decisive Strike is strong when you're being tunneled, but otherwise completely useless, right? How do you weight that? How do you weight Decisive Strike? It's one of the strongest perks in the game if you're being tunneled, but absolutely useless if you're not tunneled. How do you weight that perk? How? You can't. You can't weight a perk like that. And you could be like, oh, well, the base kit, anti-tunnel. The thing is, tunneling will never go away. Slugging will never go away. They could do small things to mitigate it, but it will never go away. So you're going to have to keep Decisive Strike how it is. And how do you weight a perk like that? How? One of the strongest perks in the game if you're being tunneled. Completely useless if you're not. How do you weight that perk with the other perks? Same thing with like Off the Record. Or Unbreakable. Unbreakable is extremely strong if you're slugged. If you're not slugged, it's useless. How do you weight that? So that's why I think Scott is very wrong about this. I think they can fix the maps. I think they can fix the perk disparity. I think they can fix the MMR. They just haven't yet. And a point that he made in his video that I did not like is his whole reasoning for saying that this is the way to go is because he said, oh, well, the game's been around 10 years and they haven't fixed anything, so we shouldn't expect them to be able to fix this. Do we not realize the difference in the dev team from when the game started to where the game is now? Sure, the devs 8 years ago that were completely different devs didn't fix the problem. But the devs that were hired 2 years ago, they had nothing to do with that. They weren't there. So, like, that whole argument just seems way wrong to me. Alright? We can't go off of what the game did 10 years ago when the team now is so much bigger and so much different. Like, they went from an indie team to a huge $1 million fucking corporation just off of this one game in those 10 years. So, like, who knows? Maybe the dev team now can fix it. You're talking about completely different people. And that's what I'm saying. You're not taking into account the human aspect of what's going on with this game. Fuck this ad, bro. I don't like it.
With Wix.
I don't give a fuck about Wix.
For your words?
God damn.
Or issue that they all kind of come from.
Alright. Anyway, so that's my rant. Sky's wrong about that, honestly. Like, thinking of it from a human, logical perspective with common sense, and you're looking at it like, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way Behavior would be able to do that. And honestly, I'm way too scared to see them try. I don't think they'd be able to do something like that. Because the disparity is just too much, and they already said that they can't account for everything. They already said it. Kote himself said it in an interview. He said, look, there's just so much in the game, we literally can't account for everything. So how do you expect them to go through and literally account for everything and label it as strong or weak? They've nerfed add-ons that didn't need to be nerfed. They've buffed strong killers. They've nerfed weak killers like Myers, the rework that just happened. They nerfed Myers. Like, they nerfed Myers. How the fuck do you expect them to be able to label these killers correctly when they nerfed one of the weaker killers in the game? It's just not gonna work. It's not gonna work. You got to give them a chance to fucking fix them. Because they haven't even tried. That's the thing. They have not changed MMR at all, pretty much, since it dropped. They haven't tried. So why not give them a shot? They haven't. The last PTB they did was the first time they really tried to address slugging and tunneling. I mean, maybe second time for slugging. But, like, they got to get off the base kit unbreakable thing. But that's not what I'm going on about here, right? That's not what I'm trying to go on. I'm not trying to give an answer on how to fix these problems, but you gotta give them a shot, okay? Because they gotta try. You know, they haven't been trying. That's the thing. They just haven't been trying. So Scott's solution is not a solution. It's just not. I'm sorry. It's not. Like, and it never will be. I hate the idea of now. Oh, one more thing that I just remembered. All right, so say you take the perks, right? Now these perks are perks that people pay for. They pay for these perks. It's not like they're free. No, you pay for the perks. Now imagine, right? You have a weighted system on the perks where each perk can be weighted a certain way, and you have a new player, right? And they're trying to make a build, and they're like, okay, well, how about I take Unbreakable and 2 other weaker or mid perks, and I go, oh, okay, well, this survivor, Laurie Strode, I have to buy her, right? I have to pay money for her, and she has this perk that I think would be cool with this build. I buy that character with my real money. And then I go and I look at the perk, and with that, I bought that character without knowing what the weight was on their perk. And I go to put it in the build, I can't. I just spent money on a character to put that perk in that build, and I can't now. I literally, I can't, because I didn't know how weighted that perk was going to be before I purchased the character. Now I'm just out the money that I spent on that character because I didn't know. That's not good. That's very bad. That would be very, very bad. You want to talk about getting new players into this game? That would be a horrible way to get new players into this game. Horrible. I bought these perks. I spent money on these perks. I want to use them when I want to use them. I don't care. That's real money being spent on these perks. Real money. So it's either they make the perks free and refund everyone for the perks, or they can't do that. They can't do a weighted system, as that will kill the game. That would be a huge slap in the face to anyone who spends money on the game. Huge slap in the face if they can't use the perk they bought the character for that perk because it's weighted too much and they can't use it in the build that they want to use it in. That would be awful. That would be awful. Okay, I bet you didn't think about that. But yeah, no, that would be really fucking bad. That would horrible publicity for the game. Horrible. So, yeah. That's just another problem. So, I think that there are other ways to do it. I'm not going to go into what my solutions would be, but that's not it, bro. It's not it. Not it. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Sorry, Scott, but I agreed with you for the most part, but that last part, nah. That shit wrong. So, I'm going to leave you at that. Everyone, have a good day. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. All right.